According to the Rockwell timepiece, it's time. So come on in and stay a while. It's time to get coached up with another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. That's right. As you look around this set, you will see that Rockwell is now a proud partner of the Coach Scott Field Show, and I am fortunate to be a brand ambassador for Rockwell. Go to rockwelltime.com. Use the code COACH20 for a 20% discount on any order, or use the code HEROCOACH. Buy any item, whether it be sunglasses, hats, watches, and receive a free Hero watch of your choice. Also, like and follow the Coach Scott Field Show on Facebook. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Or if you're listening to us in podcast form, DerMarr and I say turn that knob up. We're about to put that flavor in your ear. Watch us on DBTV Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, where we have the opportunity to be seen in over 300 million households. Or watch us on CSTV Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. or check us out on the Rewind Sports 60. I appreciate your continued support. Now that we got all that business out the way, let's see why we're really here. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Mr. DerMarr Johnson, McDonald's Parade All-American, USA Today All-American, High School Player of the Year in 1999, played for the Cincinnati Bearcats and drafted number 6 overall by the Atlanta Hawks. DerMarr Johnson, welcome to the Coach Scott Field Show, my friend.
Coach, I appreciate you having me. Glad to be here.
Hey, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I appreciate your time. I know you got a lot of things going on, but when you get a second, you got to go check out those Rockwell pieces, man. They're fire.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, I got the code.
There you go. We all got the code. Ladies and gentlemen, this man that I have sitting here next to me has had a phenomenal journey in the game of basketball. And some things that he doesn't know is that he spent time in Venezuela with Guaros de Lara, where I was a head coach, and one of his teammates from the Cincinnati Bearcats, Kenny Satterfield, actually played for me over in Beirut, Lebanon, where I know you also spent some time.
Wow. You did the homework. Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'm just fascinated by your story and your journey. And I know our viewers will be truly inspired by this. Playing and having an amazing high school career. Take us through your high school days where you're getting all the honors and accolades and you're being heavily recruited, but you choose Coach Huggins, who is now a Hall of Famer, and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Take us back that far.
Okay. Well, it all happened really fast for me because I didn't play as a youth growing up in PB basketball. I just kind of came out of nowhere. Curtis Malone, who was my DCSO AAU coach, was like a father figure to me. One day, some guys told him around my neighborhood, you need to, pick this kid up. And at this time, I wasn't playing anywhere. I was just playing at the basketball courts outside. So he came up to the area where I was living at. I walked to his car. He said, "You want to play basketball? I heard you could play." I said, "Sure." And from then on, it was like out of nowhere, I played in my first tournament. And I guess at that time, it was new to see a 6'9" guard. I brought the ball up, I shot threes, I dunked on everybody, and I was just playing ball. I didn't even know the politics of it. I didn't know they ranked players. I didn't know like guys played against other players from other cities or any of that. So it was all new and it hit me fast. So after I won an MVP, like our first tournament, we won a championship for 16 and under. And from then on, it was like all eyes on me at that point.
Right. And I think back, following your career from afar, because I was blessed to have coached at the college level for 14 years, coached professionally for 15 years. But I just remember the versatility that you had both offensively and defensively because of your size and length and your athleticism. You were a rare commodity that would fit so well in today's NBA game. Do you agree?
Yeah, I hear it all the time. I talk about it all the time. I just was born a little too soon. I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to play because when I played, we had to throw the ball in the post every time. And
Yeah.
now the floor is spread wide open. All guys, look similar to me, and it would just fit right in with my style.
Exactly. So here you're playing AAU, you're kind of getting on the map, you're
Yeah,
creating some buzz, you're over on the East Coast,
yeah,
you're in the DC area, correct?
yes.
Yeah, so great basketball on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Who were some of the players that I mean, you probably didn't even know a lot of players from, neighboring cities. You were just balling, doing what you love to do because it came so natural to you. But who were
Right.
some of those players that you enjoyed playing against early in your high school days in AAU?
Okay, so um, back when I first got into AAU and I was playing, the probably the top player at that time was like Lamar Odom.
Right.
And I was an underclassman when we played against them, but we played against them a handful of times, and he was kind of similar to me, but he was more like a big that can handle the ball, and where I was just like a straight guard. And I think I really made my name after I played against him, because we played against them, and I was doing what I do, and I remember before the game he was like, watch his crossover, and I was just playing my game, and after that it was like his coach talked to my coach, and Adidas, Sonny Vaccaro came into play because Lamar was that guy, and then we had Adidas contracts. Also Riverside with Elton Brand, Ron Artest, Eric Barkley, and them guys were all ahead of me, so I had to play because I had to play up 16 and under. Then after we played, we'll play for the 17 and under, and them guys killed us every time.
But you know what? It's so great because at that time, as you reflect back on it, you were able to use them as a measuring stick, and then you're picking up new things that you were probably dominating your local courts, but yet to play against those guys, you're probably like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
I've got some work to do.
Right, for sure. And it was all new to me. So by my junior year, by the next year, when all them guys were gone to college, that's when we won the big all the big tournaments. Like we ran through the summer, my junior year. We won the big time tournament. We won a lot of tournaments.
Wow, good stuff. And I'm sure that's just fueling the passion, fueling the fire. And I mean, you're starting to have fun doing what you do because I'm thinking of Lamar Odom because at that time, of course, basketball now is more positionless, as we discussed. But at
Mhm.
that time, Lamar Odom was more of a point forward
Yep.
who was a big, who could handle the ball, but yet you had all that in your bag. You could do that offensively and yet switch and defend, smaller players because of your quickness, bigger players because of your length. I mean,
Right.
you were a commodity before it was really big because coaches at that time wanted to recruit players and you had to play their style. Now, like you said, it's an open game. There's flow, there's pace and space. So I can't imagine if you were playing right now and just balling.
Coach Scott, listen, I'm 42 and I still get out there, and play with the guys, and I still got some skills in me, but I love to be out there in that court right now in my prime.
Hey,
We
I saw a social media post. You still went up and still got you a little dunk, so you still got some bunnies, brother.
Yeah, that one was weak. I dunk better than that when I'm playing,
Yeah.
but it was early in the morning. I just wanted to get up there and throw one down. But when I get a little loose, it looks a little better than that.
But let's be honest, now that we're this age, it hurts when you land. You don't want to jump so high.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, for me, when I'm out there, I feel good. It hurts me like the next morning when I get up in the morning after I play a whole bunch of games. I'll continue to play as long as they're playing, and then
Yeah.
I'll pay for it the next day.
That's the competitive juices flowing right there, DerMarr. So let's go now to the recruiting process
Yeah.
because that's an eye opener. And for a lot of kids from the East Coast, inner city, I mean, it's a new world. A lot of people are coming at you. A lot of people need something from you, want something from you. You're probably making college visits. Who were your top four schools and why?
Okay, let me walk you through this with my recruiting, because
Yeah.
I'm coaching at my school now in Cincinnati, and we go through this, and I always tell them guys, I'm like, man, it was so different for me. I didn't go through any of this because when I was coming up, they nobody thought I would ever play a day of college ball.
Wow.
Um, the plan was always to come right out of high school. Even I had to address people saying that I was going to come out after my junior year because I was the best player in the country as a junior, regardless of class. So they was like, this guy's going to skip his senior year of high school and come on the NBA. And I had to say I wasn't going to do that. So college coaches, I never talked to any of them. Everybody talked to Curtis Malone, and no, everybody stayed away from me because they didn't think it was a chance I was playing house in college. So when it came down to the end, after the McDonald's game, when Jonathan Bender had a phenomenal McDonald's game, he broke Jordan's record. He took a lot of momentum with him, and I could have still came out of high school and probably still been a top 15 pick or even a lottery pick, in my workouts. But the people around me, Sonny Vaccaro, he was like, you too good of a talent to not be drafted when you deserve to be drafted. So go to school for a year, get stronger, and then you'll come out next year and be a top pick. So I said, okay, that's fine. So at that time, it was left over. The schools I liked were University of Maryland, UConn, Cincinnati.
Wow. Great,
Yeah.
great stuff. And what I want to share with the viewers is the gentleman that we're talking to right now, talking about going straight from high school to the NBA. Of course, I had my man Spencer Haywood, who's got the Spencer Haywood rule now, because if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't have been LeBron James's, Kevin Garnett's, Kobe Bryant's. And you could have been one of those players that had the skills and the ability to do that and skip college, but yet you got some great advice from Sonny with Adidas to say, hey, go play. And yet, look at that. You're talking about UConn, a national power. You got Coach Bob Huggins, who's now in the Hall of Fame with the Bearcats, who was having great players with Kenyon Martin and them. So how did you kind of narrow down where you wanted to go and what was a good fit for you?
Well, going off of what I'm hearing from my people is, I mean, of course, I got all the skill in the world, but do I have an NBA body? Am I strong enough? Even though I'm 6'9" guard, I'm probably bigger than all the guards, but you know, people they're gonna say things.
Yeah.
So when Hugs came in and spoke to me, it was pretty simple. It was just like, this is what these guys lifted when they got to me. 2 months later, this is what they lift. This is going to be the team around you. I already had Kenyon and Pete Michael, Steve Logan, Kenny Satterfield, who was in the McDonald's game with me, and Kenny already committed. And Kenny was big in the recruitment. He was blowing me up. He
New
was like,
York City point guard.
yeah, my guy, one of my best friends. He's my roommate. So Kenny was big in recruitment. He was calling me. He was like, man, you come on, you got to come over here, come over here. So I didn't even take another visit. I committed.
Wow.
I committed to Cincinnati before I even took the visit.
Wow.
Yeah, so my recruitment was just so different. I didn't take a whole bunch of visits. What I love when Hugs came in and what he said, I just had to make sure, because I was an Adidas guy with Sonny, I had to make sure it was okay to go to a Jordan school.
So talk about that. What did Coach Huggins say to you that made you feel so comfortable that, like, hey, my boy Sat is going there. I know you got Kenyon, you got Pete Michael, some NBA talent. What was it that Coach Huggins said to you that made you feel so comfortable to be like, you know what, done, I'm coming?
I just knew he would push me and it would answer all the questions about me out there. Because what happens is they build you up so much, and I got built up so much as a sophomore and a junior, and then senior year they start to tear you down.
Yeah.
It goes from, okay, everything's easy to him, so okay, now he's not playing hard, and so now it's like, okay, they think I'm cruising, I'm not playing hard, they think I'm not strong enough. So all right, I'm gonna go to a school where I know everybody know this guy's gonna push me and cuss me out every day, and I have no choice but to play hard. And all these guys are ripped up. Everybody, they're eating weights. So that should answer all the questions, because the measurables and the skills have always been there.
Yeah, man, great insight. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to DerMarr Johnson. They call him Slim. My guy could go and can still go. talking about his recruitment going into the Cincinnati Bearcats with now Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins. So player development was big for you because you're learning the business aspect of basketball and how the cynicism and they build you up and all of a sudden now when it's time for competition, now it's like, okay, but he doesn't do this and he doesn't do this and physically he's this. Is that where you realized firsthand, okay, basketball is a business?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't at that point, it wasn't a business yet. I wasn't getting paid.
Right,
I
right.
did kind of I did kind of see how they'll turn on you. And I didn't know why.
Yeah,
I didn't ask for the praise and I didn't, deserve the, some of the things. Not everybody, but certain people,
yeah,
they might see you play and they hear so much hype and they're not impressed and they write about it. Who knows whatever reasons people
yep.
write the things that they write. I mean, I've been who I was. I'm a guard at 6'9" that can pretty much do everything. That
That's
didn't
right.
change. It didn't change. I don't know. The
Yeah.
things that got me good didn't change from when they try to tear me down.
Yeah. So now you're on campus. You're at the
Mhm.
University of Cincinnati. You're seeing, all the effort that it's going to take. And like you said, your diet has probably now changed where you're in the dorms and you're eating and now you're lifting weights. The player development really comes into it. Who did you get with at Cincinnati that really pushed you, that really challenged you? And you're like, okay, I see Kenyon Martin over here, to my left, and he's working hard and he has all this athletic ability too, and he's on the NBA radars. But was there somebody that took you under their wing and said, hey, young gun, this is what you do and this is how you do it? And who was that?
Um, I can't say that. Not really. It was just the culture. It
Okay.
wasn't just one person that was doing something. Everybody had to do it. It was Coach Huggins. It was just the
Yeah.
way you had to approach your everyday life there. I mean, one morning, me and Satterfield was late to an early lift, and the next morning at 5:30 a.m. we're running the football stadium. You know, and
Oh,
we wasn't late again. And
yeah.
I already knew, but I know because I was preparing for the NBA since I was a sophomore. Once my buzz came, Curtis had me working with, weight dudes and NBA coach Mike Brown, who was at that time he's assistant for the Bullets. Or I don't know if they was the Wizards yet.
Yeah,
And
right.
he'll do and BJ Bickerstaff, who's the NBA coach now, when he was in like Minnesota at the time, he was in college.
Yeah.
So I'm doing individual workouts with an NBA guy when I'm a junior and sophomore in high school. So
Wow.
I was preparing for the NBA. So when I got to and also going to Maine Central Institute my senior year,
That's right. The prep school. Yeah.
yeah, with Max Good, he made it. Max made it so much easier for me going to Cincinnati
Yeah.
because
That transition.
yes, and that was supposed to be really my college year going to MCI. Because my coach Chris Chaney, who's probably a Hall of Fame high school coach himself, he was more easygoing. We had great players. He let you do what you want to do. When I got to MCI, Max is probably tougher on me than Hugs.
Wow.
I'm in
Wow.
Pittsfield, Maine, and he's mother effing me every day. We're running to our feet bleed. I mean, not literally, but we're running, and
Right.
he's so. When I got to Cincinnati, that made it a little easier to deal with Hugs. But
Yeah.
you had to, and even before I tell everybody, the guys now that I coach, is like on our team, you had to deal with Kenyon before you even deal with Hugs.
Right. Yeah.
Messing
Yeah.
around in practice, if you're doing anything, you imagine a freshman doing something that's going to make the whole team run, which the senior Kenyon, and you're a
Ooh.
fresh, Kenyon might punch you on your face. You got to deal with him before you deal with Hugs.
Yeah. 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 And so he set the tone of
Yeah.
that culture. And I'm going to tell you what, this is what I believe. And now that you're coaching, you'd probably agree with this. Player-led teams are going to far produce more because of the peer pressure than a coach-led team. A coach-led team, eventually players will tune out after a
Yeah.
while, but your peers will push you and challenge you because you don't want to get punked by your peers. Do you agree?
100%. But you also got to do it the right way because
That's exactly right.
you got some guys who try to take on that role, but the players don't respect it and don't like it because you're not doing what you're preaching.
Amen. Amen to that, DerMarr. And that's quality nuggets right there. So, respect is something that's earned. It's not given to you. And if you're going to go out there and be barking at somebody, you better be backing it up with your actions and be a leader by your actions and not just verbally. Because again, that stuff will get shut down in a hurry.
For sure. 100%.
Yes, I love that. So, also on that Cincinnati team, there was a young coach, Mark Cronin, correct?
Yeah, Mick Cronin.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's having success himself right now, and I'm sure he picked up a lot of stuff from Coach Hugs, and was learning the ropes with the recruitment process, and evaluating high level players.
Yeah.
Who are some other teammates on that Cincinnati team that you still have a great relationship with? And that, because again, in our industry, it's all about relationships, and those relationships that you form even 20 years ago are
Mhm.
still meaningful to you today. Who are some of those relationships that you had at Cincinnati that where you still pick up the phone today and be like, yo, dog, how you living?
Well, okay. Well, touching on Mick, he's the reason that I'm in Cincinnati right now, that I came back. I was still playing ball overseas. He reached out to me 2016 and said, you should come back here and finish school and
Wow.
and help me, with the guys. And I was like, how much does it pay? He's like, it doesn't pay. You just go to school and you coach.
Yeah,
So
like a student
yeah,
assistant.
yeah, I was an undergrad assistant. I'm
Yep.
getting paid to play at this time. So I thought about it for a little bit and I just said, let's go. I'm gonna go do it. And so I came back to Cincinnati 2017 as a student assistant. I basically had to start over from school because I went there 1 year. So
Right.
he was I appreciate him for that. He was big in me coming back to school. So aside from him, Coach Hugs, obviously, Kenny Satterfield, obviously my roommate, Kenyon, Lenny Stokes, Steve Logan, P. Michael. I talked to pretty much all the guys from that team.
That's awesome. I'm telling you, I feel like the friends and the acquaintances that you make in college. I mean, because it's the first time you're away from home for most people, so you build a bond with these guys, and it's a true brotherhood and fraternity. I mean,
Yeah.
even on top of what happens, you were blessed enough to be drafted number 6 by the Atlanta Hawks, but that kinship and those relationships that you build in college, so many kids miss that step and miss that part of the process for that physical maturity, mental maturity, spiritual maturity. I mean, whatever it may be. But man, it's such a valuable tool. With your skill sets that you're putting into your bag for your life. Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. And especially with our group, we had such a good team that we all felt should have won a national championship had Kenyon not got hurt. And
Right, right.
he's-
I mean, you guys were right there, and with Kenyon getting hurt, breaking the leg,
yeah,
it just, you guys had to pick up the pieces, next man up, but you just lost that physical presence and leader and athleticism on the court that just couldn't quite get you over the hump.
right, for sure. And me and Kenyon, obviously, we left at the same time. We went with the same agent. We both went out to LA after we left Cincinnati. Then we got a chance to play on the same team in Denver for 3 years. So me and Kenyon has
Wow.
always been, Kenny in school, Kenny Satterfield, my roommate, we were inseparable. Kenyon was a senior. He wasn't around like that, except, on the court. But then after we left school, me and Kenyon got a chance to be around each other all the time.
I'm gonna tell you what, I really enjoyed coaching Sat in Lebanon because he was so quick and he could see the floor and he would assess and his spatial awareness and taking over a game at the right time. Hey, great players make great coaches out of us in a hurry, and Sat made me look good over in Lebanon.
Yeah. Hey, look, that's great to hear. I'm gonna talk to him about that after we finish.
Yeah, you got to, brother, and you got to send him nothing but love from me. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Talking about Kenyon Martin, his son now is doing big things, and
Yeah.
kind of getting his feet wet in the league and going through probably what you were going through as a rookie. What message do you have for the young players out there trying to find their way and carving their niche and showing what assets they bring to a franchise?
Um, you just gotta play a role, basically, and especially when you're young and you're trying to get your foot in. Every team has that guy who's their guy who's going to have the ball in their hands to make plays, and you got to basically be able to defend multiple positions, and you got to knock down shots. And if you could defend at a high level, and you could defend different positions, you could switch on anybody, and you could stand in the corner and knock down shots, you'll get on the floor. Even
Yeah.
some of all the talent in the world, a team might not need another guy that's out there trying to create when you already have your guys for that.
Yeah, and see, I want to echo what you're saying. When you come in, they've already got the scores. So, are you going to be an energy guy? Are you going to be a defensive stopper? Are you going to be the rebounder that starts the break to get them into the offense? But you got to find that niche and find that role and perfect your role until it's your turn to be patient to be that other scorer, to be
There we
in the
go.
mix. Because, like you say, they've got those dudes already. So be that guy who's going to bring something when you come in off the bench and be an asset, to the program and to the franchise to provide energy to get those dubs.
For sure. There we go. Like you got to go out there and do what you're supposed to do. And then when you get your opportunity, and now you're playing minutes, and now you'll start to do a little more, and they'll see that you can do other things. But you got to get out there by playing defense and
You
knocking down
got
shots. Yeah.
You got it. Love it. Great nuggets right there. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Coach Scott Field Show. We're here with DerMarr Johnson, and he's dropping nuggets. So if you're listening to us in podcast form, you got to visualize what we're sharing with you. But you viewers out there watching us, just know that this wealth of knowledge and experience that he is sharing with you is gold, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here it is. you know, you talked about you and Kenyon signed with the same agent. Was that an easy process for you once you decided, hey, I'm going pro? And how did that relationship with your agent, how did that begin? Was that also through Kenyon? Or was it just, hey, you met with three or four guys who were going to represent you? Kind of take us through that process.
All that stuff was really handled for me by Curtis. Kurt.
Ah, nice.
Guys went through Curtis to get to me. Guys couldn't. Nobody could really get to me. It wasn't because of me.
Yeah.
It was because of Curtis. They knew they had to go through him. I remember the guy who ended up being my agent. Rest in peace, Dan Fagan. He
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we played a game of chess at the Magic Brown Ball Classic. We were in a lobby at a hotel, and we played chess. And at that time, I was pretty good at chess. And I think he beat me, but I think he was surprised that I can play and that I was.
Yeah, wow. Great story. Rest in peace, Dan. I remember Dan well. He did a
Yeah,
great job with a lot of talent across the league. So, as you said, rest in peace, my brother. Um,
his
yeah,
relationship with Curtis is what really
yeah, yeah.
got um
And again, DerMarr, I want to share with the viewers, we're talking about a time before all this social media. There was no Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and Instagram where, a lot of that social media marketing now has created a monster of its own where now, players with the NIL, name, image, and likeness have
yeah.
made it much better for players, especially if someone with your skill set, because had there been an NIL back in your time, you could have been, making a nice livelihood for yourself as you were representing Cincinnati Bearcats.
Oh man, I talk about it all the time. Being like when you get older, you back in school and you seeing how things are. I'm just like, oh man, the things you guys have now. I wish
Ooh,
I had even before NIL. I'm like the food we feed you guys, the stuff on campus that wasn't there when I was there. Now they
the
got
the
NIL.
travel.
Yeah, the travel. I couldn't imagine my status now, like the NIL. Man,
Yeah. Wow. Ooh, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But man, thank goodness the NCAA has made those changes
yeah.
because I felt like they were so reactionary for so many decades instead of being proactive and taking care of the assets, which are the players, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Come on. We got to take care of those who are putting it on the line every day. And yeah, I hear the people, but they're getting a scholarship and come on, man. You guys are out there and you are the product. So amen and congratulations to the NCAA for finally getting it right.
Yeah, I mean they had to do something, and and here we are. I know it's difficult for some people, and it's still new, and we trying to figure out how to do it. But I'm glad these guys are able to put some money in their pocket because
Yeah.
I know
Right. It's not a violation to go get a pizza for somebody that you want to take care of because I mean, let's think about it. Sometimes your practices with Hugs were probably running late and you couldn't get to the cafeteria on time. And then you guys are scrambling to try to, hey, where are we going to eat tonight? Because, we had to do some extra suicides.
I ate top ramen when
Oh,
I was in Cincinnati,
yeah.
and I was in Ruth Chris like a month or so ago. One of our players come in there. I'm like, "What? This I'm like eating Ruth Chris in college is
That's that's a great story. Hey, I remember I was living on 49 cents biscuits and gravy because I was like, hey, when I got a $20, from a family member, man, I felt like I had a million back in the day.
exactly.
Wow, great stuff. So now we've talked about, you've got your agent, you're preparing for the draft, but you've been preparing because your sophomore year, junior year in high school, you were already getting the workouts in. You kind of knew what to expect. But what was it like getting that call saying, hey, we're going to draft you in this position? And take us through the nerves of you sitting there waiting for, your name to be called to go across that stage.
For me, it was kind of different because it was more so like finally,
Yeah.
because I pretty much knew since, like I say, my sophomore year, I would have to really just screw it up for me not to get drafted. That's basically how I can tell, the things people saying about me, how people treat me, people that's coming around, and the stuff Curtis is saying, like I'm supposed to be the next guy. It was for Sonny. It was like Kobe, Tracy, and I was supposed to be his next guy in that. And I
Wow.
just knew it was a matter of time. It's like at our draft, like Kenya got picked number one, and Kenya's like crying, because he had a different route than me. He
Yeah.
he wasn't a McDonald's. He had to go to
And
school.
coming off the injury. Yeah.
Yeah, he had to work his tail off to become the number one pick in the draft. And for
Wow.
me, yeah, I worked my tail off for sure.
Yep.
Um, but it was just like, man, it's finally here, and
Ooh.
it was just excitement, ready to go to work.
Yeah. And see, because the way I try to distinguish it for the viewers, you guys in the draft lottery, you are the elite 1%. Because I mean, there's thousands of players who play high school basketball, and then only a small percentage get to go on and play in college, and then only a small percentage of all those college players at 360 Division One schools get to be drafted. The emotions that you felt is, I'm sure it's a relief, like, man, we finally did it. Yeah, like you said, now it's time to go to work. But who did you get that call from? I'm sure you were with Dan, but was it the general manager, was it the coach, and you're just like, man, let's go?
Um, I believe it was P. Babcock, who was the GM at that time, who I'm still really close with. I mean, I knew I wouldn't go past nine, which was Houston. But I worked out for the Hawks twice. I worked out for Orlando twice, who was five, and they ended up picking Mike Miller. So I didn't think I would go past Atlanta. I just didn't know who would get me, Atlanta or Orlando, and I was happy to go either place and end up being Atlanta.
Man, you mentioned a name who's also been a guest on this show, General Manager Pete Babcock. What a high character individual who did it the right way. I'm sure your relationship has continued to evolve because hey, there's not many people better than Mr. Pete Babcock.
Unbelievable guy. I thank him to this day, and I feel bad because of my accident. I felt like if I never had that accident, Pete would have still been the GM for some years because we had my second year, and we'll probably get there. My second year, we were playing really well, and
Yes.
and we ended the season, like the second half of the season, we were great. And the third year is supposed to be my breakout year. And we traded for Glenn Robinson, and we made a promise to the season ticket holders that if we don't make the playoffs, they get like half their money back or something. But like we really felt good about it. And then I get in an accident a few weeks before training camp and kind of screwed things up, and Pete ended up getting let go. And I feel like that wouldn't have happened had I been.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's heartfelt right there. And I appreciate your vulnerability to even share that because yeah, I want to get into, yeah, you're with the Atlanta Hawks and you're with Coach Lon Kruger now. And I mean you guys had some talent there because I think of the names. I mean, you had coaches Rick Mulhorn and a younger coach, Eric Musselman,
Mhm.
and Guy Hurd was there with you. And but the talent you guys had was phenomenal. And yeah, you guys were kind of getting it going. You had it rolling. So I mean, think about it. Last week was the 20-year, I don't want to call it an anniversary, but
Mhm.
kind of like when it happened, because wasn't it September 13th of 20 or 2002 when you had the accident when you were in the Mercedes?
Yes, sir.
Wow. What do you remember about that accident?
I remember. I remember the whole day.
Yeah.
Really. So it started with um just a regular day at the gym, right? It was the first day Glenn Robinson came since when he got traded. And Glenn Robinson was my favorite player to watch in college growing up that
The
I've seen.
big dog, the big dog,
All right, so now I got
Purdue University.
on my team. I'm going to be the two. He's going to be the three. Jason Terry is going to be the one. Sharif Abdul Rahim the four. Theo Ratliff the five. And I feel
Woo!
so great about that. And
Yeah.
going was going to be my breakout year. So Glenn Robinson comes. We play pickup, and I'll never forget. I hit the game winner, the last shot of the day. I think it might have been on Glenn playing and so now after we finish hooping, so we like, yo, we're gonna hang out later. So we end up hanging out that night later. Um, had my boys with me. I met some of the teammates out. So then on the way home,
Oh,
um, on the way home is when I'm driving home. I get off my exit. I come to a light and I turn the music down because my boys that was in the car, they were asleep. So and I'm closer to the house. I turn the music down. I was blasting it before. And next thing I know, I'm I hit a tree. One of my boys that was in the passenger seat, he's waking me up. They're like, get up. The car is on fire.
oh,
And I must have dozed off and just left get my foot off the brake. And I just cruised right across the street because it wasn't far from the light.
right.
And luckily no other cars were coming because I had to pass the other lane coming towards me to even get to that tree.
Ooh,
So so I'm I'm kind of on a hill. So after I get out of the car and I didn't have a seatbelt on, I just like rolled down the hill, and then he went and got the other guy that was still asleep out the back seat. And minutes after that, the car just exploded.
oh my goodness. So as tragic of an event as it is, you still had guardian angels looking at after you to get you away, or you wouldn't be here with us now to do this interview.
100%. And it was weird about not weird, but like I said, I didn't have my seatbelt on. Had I had my seatbelt on, would I have been able to get it off in time
Yeah.
before the car blew up? I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Wow. And from that accident, let's take the viewers through it. You were then discovered to have four broken vertebrae in your neck.
Yes.
So, I mean, did you have the numbness? Did you have the tingling? Were you able to move your extremities at the time? What were you feeling, or what do you recall, when your boys were pulling you from the car and the car explodes, but yet, what do you feel at that moment?
I always think back on that and wonder. I don't know when that happened because
Yeah.
when I rode down the hill, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And when some girls had must have seen the fire, they drove by and they seen us out there, and them girls were our angels. They took us to the hospital. I
Wow.
I walked to their car, got in the back seat. When they pulled to the hospital, I walked out of their car and walked into the hospital and got on the hospital bed and just went back to sleep. At what
Wow.
point my neck was broken, I don't know because I walked to their car and I walked in the hospital on my
Yeah.
own.
Wow. So it probably happened during impact. You were probably knocked out. You probably don't remember that. And I just think, man, how strong you had to be to be able to handle that impact. But yet, thank goodness the girls got you to the hospital. Then they
Yeah,
discover you've got the broken neck.
yeah,
Then what's going through your mind? Oh my gosh, I can't play. They end up putting the halo on you, for several months, for
yeah.
the vertebrae to kind of recover. Take us through that process, because probably nervous, scared, worried. What were you feeling?
Well, I mean, a lot happened before that. It was
Yeah.
the hospital that these girls took me to. Like I said, I laid down and went back to sleep basically. Um, I woke up and now I see like my family there, people from the team is there, and
Wow.
everybody they kind of got there. So I think they say some news station pronounced me dead. And
Oh,
so what happened was, and lucky Dan Fagan, that hospital wanted to just operate, and that would have probably ended my career.
right
And,
then. Yeah, right. Wow. Thank goodness for him to be there. Like, no, no, no. We're going to get him to the right orthopedic
right.
surgeon to be able to do this right. So that way, things can recover, and you can have some sort of quality of life, because a lot of people, that have four broken vertebrae in the neck, are usually paralyzed. And I guess it was very close to where, it could have, snapped that spinal cord from you, correct?
Yeah, they said I was inches from being paralyzed.
Wow.
And luckily,
Wow.
Dan said, no, we're going to get this kid to the Atlanta Spinal Center. And I remember getting on a helicopter from that hospital to the spinal center. And there, they decided I'm young, the bones will heal. They'll just put the halo on me and see how it heals. And,
Man,
and that pretty much, probably saved my career.
what a story. Thank goodness that Dan had the foresight to say, you know what? Hey, this guy is a star. I'm going to take care of him. He looked out for you. He helped you make a decision that, put you on the life that you now have. So again, rest in peace, Dan. And what a powerful story there. We've got about 10 minutes left, and you've been able to play basketball, and you've recovered from a broken neck, where, I mean, you played multiple years in the league, you played overseas. What were some of your favorite stops where you played internationally? Because I coached internationally for 15 years, won multiple championships, but just had some great experiences with culture and languages and religions, and really did a lot of growing up personally, from those experiences. Where was some of your favorite spots that you ended up playing outside of the league?
I love the Philippines.
Yeah.
Manila was great. They love basketball. Everybody speaks English. They treat you like you're a pro over there. Like the local guys, them guys, they're treated like NBA players. They got sponsorships. They on commercials. They date models, and over there they know everything about you as soon as you get there.
That's right.
And the Manila was probably the favorite place for me overseas.
Great stuff. Do you have any stories that kind of stick out, while you were in the Philippines, whether it was on the court or off the court, that really stick with you, that you're like, man, what a great experience?
It was I wasn't there long because I ended up getting injured, but it was just the fans. Like they knew they know you. In other places I've been, soccer is usually the main sport everywhere.
Right. Yeah, especially overseas. That's right. Yeah.
It, and I got there and it was just like it was basketball. It was basketball. They knew everything about you. They cheering for you. They, basically whatever you need over there, they got for you.
Yeah, and my adopted son, who, by the way, is African American, he's actually playing. This is his fourth season, and he's actually playing over in Finland this year. So he's getting to experience some of those things that you and I have experienced. Because
Right.
again, that growth and maturity, and super proud of that little young man, because he's a little lefty point guard that's got good game, and
Right.
he's learning the business himself right now. So it's
Right.
building that confidence and kind of finding his niche, and just great stuff there that you're sharing with us, DerMarr. Did,
Also, one more place when I'm throwing it, Colombia. The only place
uh
I won a pro championship was in Colombia, and that was the greatest experience. The when we won it, it was a 7-game series, and confetti came out of the sky. I felt like I won an NBA championship. That was a very great experience. And then I look at Narcos and I see all these places I've been and played by playing overseas.
Wow. So what city were you in Colombia?
I was in Barquisimeto.
Barquisimeto, oh, Venezuela.
Well, is that in Venezuela?
Yeah, yeah. Barquisimeto is Guaros de Lara, and that's the team that I coached in
Okay, so
Venezuela.
Bucaramanga was the name of the city.
Bucaramanga. There you go.
Bucaramanga was in Colombia, yeah. And Medellin was the team we played in the finals. So I've been all over that country.
Oh, great stuff. Hey, and Latin America, those guys, they take it serious because, a call don't go the right way. I was in Puerto Rico where the fans turned over the cars of the referees just because they didn't like what was going down.
Yeah, it's not easy over there. I remember going from China. A lot of guys go from China to Puerto Rico because of the time of the league. China's a
That's
short
right.
league and Puerto Rico start. And guys go from China averaging 35 points, then go to Puerto Rico, be lucky to get 10.
Yeah.
Like they don't play.
Yeah, Puerto Rico, the Superior Baloncesto, great league because even their national team competes at a high level. And matter of fact, Puerto Rico beat USA one year at the World Cup. So it tells you that there's great basketball all over the world, and a lot of people don't realize that. But I'm glad that you had an opportunity and that you healed and you recovered and you were able to, to have a life in the game. So let's talk about, I mean, because we got about 6 minutes left.
Okay.
Ice Cube, he comes up with the big three. What did that mean to you to be able to be in the big three? And did you have any interactions with Ice Cube? And I mean, and what does it mean for former NBA players who get to go compete again against each other, even in retirement?
Thought it was a great league. I was still playing overseas. I wasn't done playing. I remember Kenyon telling me about it. They was making Kenyon a captain, and he was like, they're gonna do this 3-on-3 league. I'm gonna pick me, you, and Gilbert Arenas and Al Harrington, and we're gonna have this
Ooh,
team. I'm like, cool, sounds good to me. When they about to do it, just let me know. I'm in basketball shape. So then when it came around, and it was getting close, Kenyon picked Al Harrison as his co-captain because the captains pick a co-captain. And then they added Allen Iverson on. So Allen, he wanted me as his co-captain. And
yeah.
I had to tell Allen, no, Kenyon told me he was picking me. And I'm not gonna, you my brother, but that's my brother. I'm not out on Kenyon. And when and I told him, he kept asking me, I said, man, you gotta talk to Kenyon. And then he had hit me. He's like, all right, I talked to Kenyon, man. You gonna be my captain. So I hit Kenyon. I said, Kenyon, you talk to Allen? He was like, nah. Allen want to make me his co-captain. He said he spoke to you about it. I told him, I'm playing with you. I'm not gonna do that, if because I already gave you my word. He was
Yeah.
like, no, it's a great opportunity. Go, if he gonna let you be his co-captain, you go do it. And so that's how I became co-captain. And yes, Ice Cube was there every week. Especially that first year, everything was so hands-on. I had many interactions with Ice Cube. Great dude. It's a great idea and a great league. Gave everybody a chance to get back around. It was like the NBA 3-on-3. They treat everybody first class. You got all these 50 NBA players, ex-NBA players in a hotel, and everybody's playing cards, and you getting to be friends with guys you played against, and you getting to be around your ex-teammates that you haven't seen in years. The camaraderie was some of the best things they did. You go out on the floor and compete.
Yeah, see, and I don't think Ice Cube gets enough credit because I mean he had the foresight and the vision to create the league, but yet go out and get it nationally televised. But again, it brings that brotherhood and that fraternity back together because they haven't been around each other for years, and those relationships that you have to be able to get out there, and but yet you still have that competitive fire and you want to
Yeah,
compete. So
yeah,
I think kudos to that league. Now, some people be like, oh, I can watch regularly. Come on, man. You guys are skilled. You guys, even though you may have lost a step or can't jump as high, you
yeah.
guys are getting after it out there.
And it's not easy. Like it looks a lot harder than it may look on TV. Like because it's only half court and it
Right.
happens quick. And these
Yeah.
guys are, it's physical. It's
Yes.
physical. And
Yeah.
another great thing about it is the coaches are Hall of Famers. Like I'm around Iceman and Dr. J and Rick Barry and Gary Payton and Michael Cooper is my coach, Rick Mahorn. I'm around these guys, Nancy Lee. I'm around these guys every day. And Iceman and Dr. J were two of the people who I was compared to coming up. And just to be around these guys. And you see them every week. So
Yeah.
now you building friendships with guys that were your idols.
Yeah, see, and I love that because think about it. In the game of 3-on-3, it's a faster game. The spacing is important, but yet your angles and your cuts and you get into the rim. There's still high level basketball being played with guys who are skilled and can still get after it.
For sure. And again, it's physical. They let you play.
Yeah,
None of
I've
that,
seen.
acting and
Yeah,
flopping. Yeah.
yeah, that flopping ain't going to work there because you're going to get knocked down. Well, hey, you know what? Get up, young gun. We still going at it. I love it. DerMarr, we got a couple minutes left here. It's just been fascinating to hear your stories and share your experiences. If you could drop a couple nuggets on our viewers, what things would you share with the viewers and listeners of the Coach Scott Field Show today?
On what topic? What do you mean? Like,
Just basketball and life.
oh,
That's heavy. I know it is.
that's heavy. I don't know if I'm good at those things. I'm good at, like, you ask me questions, I'll answer them. Dropping just random nuggets.
Yeah.
Um, Shoot, man.
Well, just think about your travels and think about the young player who is a young up and coming DerMarr Johnson. What would you tell that player?
Okay. Um, you just gotta whoever you think is the hardest worker that you gotta work harder than that person. You gotta
Ooh,
be because there's like we talked about earlier, there's a small percentage of people who get a chance to get to that level. And for you to be one of those guys, you gotta separate yourself because so many people want that position.
that's right.
You gotta decide, are you ready to do the things that it's gonna take for you to get there? And you can't skip steps.
Yeah, amen. And I think that's great advice. It's like you have to be obsessed with the livelihood and you have to trust the process and know that you're going to have good and bad days, but grind through the bad days and block out the white noise and the negativity and the haters and the cynicism, especially
Mhm.
in today's social media with the Twitterverse out there. Stay focused on what you do and be the best version of yourself on and off the court because character matters and your work ethic will take you everywhere because that muscle memory and repetition will
Mhm.
set you apart from that guy you're competing with to earn that contract so you can have a livelihood and support your family. Do you agree?
For sure. Every day you got to do something to make yourself better.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, blessed and honored to have DerMarr Johnson share his time with you. Uh, thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability and letting people know what it was like. And God bless you, man. I'm only a phone call away, brother. Whatever I can do to help you, I'm proud of you, and you are a true inspiration. And you're empowering people because for you to go from where you were at to being, in a halo, 4 broken vertebrae, and then still be able to play.
Yeah.
Man, what a story of perseverance and a powerful mindset that you had, my man.
Hey, coach, I appreciate you having me. Same as you. I'm a phone call away, whatever you need. This time went by really fast. We didn't touch on a lot.
I know, right? I
Yeah.
know it because
So,
there's so many things you can share, but I'm thankful for your time. And my man, I appreciate you. I'm a friend. And just know that just because I'm saying this now, I'm not that superficial guy. When I say I got you, I got you. But make sure you tell my guy, Sat, nothing but love.
for sure. I appreciate you, coach.
You got it. Ladies and gentlemen, again, that's Slim DerMarr Johnson, guest on the Coach Scott Field Show. Be watching and stay tuned for our next episode where we're going to share nuggets of empowerment and inspiration and stories and journeys, just like my man here had for you today. God bless you, DerMarr. Stay tuned for another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. And remember, Rockwell, baby, rockwelltime.com. Go check them out. God bless you.